Welcome to another unofficially opinionated podcast. We are your hosts, Nate, and I'm joined here by Christian, right, and Tim. And today we have a special guest. His name is Courtney Jai. You might have seen or heard of him from the Netflix Heartstopper series, right? He is a YouTuber who posts. Actually, we got in contact because his YouTube. What got me about his YouTube is that he speaks about his bisexuality, which is what he was cast in Netflix's Heartstopper for. Courtney, welcome.
Thank you. It's nice. They're probably if I did this with my hair, try and have it more on the side. Because it was really long. It's really short.
Now I recognize.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because you had it shaved to the side.
I didn't even have it shaved, so my hair was just really long at that point.
Really
so it was
long,
down here because it was lockdown. I couldn't have a haircut, and the worst thing is they asked me to film what I filmed. And they were like, "Oh, we want it as soon as possible." Literally, the next week, I was able to have a haircut because we came out of lockdown.
But I mean, it looked nice. It looked fine. So I mean,
those long, flowy locks.
See, the problem is, I actually hate my hair being that long because I couldn't. It was I didn't train it to be long. It was just long. So the whole time when I sent it off, I was like, I look the worst I've ever looked in my life, and this is going to be seen by loads and loads of people, and now they're going to see me with a terrible hairstyle.
By millions of people.
Yeah.
And they're only going to remember you for that hairstyle.
Yeah.
Now I have a question, Courtney, because when Nate brought up the topic of bringing you on, I was like, hey, cool, that sounds great. So I went to look you up. Now you are Courtney Jai, right?
Yeah.
There is Jai Courtney. There's a whole different person. Do you get a lot of hate mail from his people or compliments or confusion?
Funny enough, no, there's been no confusion whatsoever. I like Jai Courtney. Jai Courtey's cool. He was in one of my favorite TV shows, which is Spartacus. So he's really awesome.
I guess. I was like,
because they were like.
I was like, he was on I was very confused.
They were like, yeah, he looks somewhere 40 years old. I was like, what?
To be fair, I had one person message me once about it, and they were because I said something, and they messaged me back, and they're like, oh, look at this guy, you're just a fan of Jai Courtney. I'm like, no, Courtney Jai is my actual name. I'm in a fandom for him. This is just actually my name. It's I know I'm younger than him, so it looks my parents went, oh, Jai Courtney's a nice name, but he would have been 10 when I was born. So
right, who's copying who in this situation?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Funny enough, the reason why I'm called Courtney Jai, it's double barrel, is because the J is actually it's supposed to be pronounced as Jai because I'm part Indian. So my uncle,
really?
I'm named after my uncle, my second part of my name, because he's called Jai, but he goes by the name Jay because we don't really like going by the Indian versions of our names. I've got 3 uncles. One's called Shindaru, Sukhinda, and there's Jai, and then there's my dad who's called Anthony. Yeah, that's where that name comes from. So it's nothing to do with Jai Courtney or anything. I don't even know if maybe he's just oh yeah, I'm actually part Indian as well, and that's why I'm called Jai Courtney. So maybe, but yeah.
Why not?
That is, I did not. Well, they asked me, how do you pronounce your name?
So I pronounce it Courtney Jai.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's J. Yeah, but okay.
But if you read it as Courtney Jai, that's correct because it's an Indian name,
right.
so it would pronounce Jai.
See?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, you
Good
did.
To know.
You were.
Good to know.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry to sidetrack us there, but yeah, I just had to know since I had so much difficulty. But I guess I'm the only one.
Perhaps there was.
Good to know.
No. Well, I mean, I think Tim was looking at. Anyways, moving on. Okay, so. So this episode, I really just wanted to get into your YouTube and what you want to tell the audience about your YouTube?
Yeah. So
what do you do? What's
I've been making videos for 8-9 years now, which is a long time. It doesn't feel like I've been that long making videos, but I make a lot of videos on sexuality. So it's not just about bisexuality, but I try and focus on bisexuality because it's what I know because I am bisexual. So I came out just after my 19th birthday. I decided that I'm 19. Like, I wasn't in the happiest place, and for a long time I was wondering what that was, and it was because basically I realised I was bisexual for such a long time, and it was getting me down because I felt like I was hiding a piece of myself away. Like, I felt like, the way I always describe it is like, it's like wearing a mask in public. Like, I'm me, but I'm not really me, because I'm hiding behind something all the time. I'm scared to basically be 100% me, just in case someone realises what 100% me is. After I came out, I got a lot of messages, people saying this is really fantastic and stuff. And then I noticed that there's not really that many male bi creators on YouTube. Like, there's just none. There's female bi creators, but like, for the male perspective, there's none. And I love the LGBTQ plus community. They're amazing. They create all this content, but I couldn't find anybody who felt the way that I did. I couldn't film myself in them, essentially. I couldn't, like, so like, I'm not the most like flamboyant, I'm not the most feminine like bisexual guy. I like quite a lot of, like, I would say more, I wouldn't say masculine, but like stuff which you wouldn't like put with the LGBTQ plus people, like, when it comes to that. Like, so I'm big into football, you know, I like going to the gym and like all those kind of things. And like, when I met like other people,
well, let me stop you there, because gay people love the gym. I mean, there is a group of, they call them gym bunnies. There is a group of them that just love them some gym. I go to the gym, but like,
yeah, I guess I can do it like. I guess it's more the football thing. I suppose, like, I try to, like, the problem is, every time I mention, I'm like, what is actually a masculine thing that I do? Which, like, the only thing I think of is, like, I really like football. Which, like, when I've mentioned to, like, groups of my friends who are queer as well, I'm like, oh, football, they're like, dude, don't talk to me about that. Like, why do I was like, how can you not appreciate that there's 11 men on a field versus 11 other men just running around hot and sweaty? Like, look, how can you not appreciate that?
I mean,
like,
that is appreciable. That we can get into.
That's exactly why
the sport, no.
She doesn't care about any sport.
But that's not the only reason why I watch football.
I like watching the dudes. I'm like, okay.
Okay. I mean, football and American football, or soccer, we call it soccer anyways, and American football, but that's not enough to get me interested. I'm sorry.
So go back to my YouTube. Like, I'm not into that. Like, I don't like, I wouldn't ever be wearing, you know, like, high heel boots or anything like that, because they're just not me. Even though I find it fascinating, I think it's awesome when people do that. No, guys like full on embrace it. That's amazing. But it's just not something I would be comfortable with. And it's not because it's what it is. It's just because, like, I'm the kind of person who likes wearing, like, skater shoes and a pair of jeans and, like, a jacket.
So basically, you want it to be the representation that you want.
I wanted to, be what isn't there for you, basically. And, like, I find you can say I got to be what I never had. So when I was a kid, like, and struggling with this, because I realised I was bisexual probably way younger than I think. Like, I say 14, but it was probably younger than that. I probably had thoughts and stuff about it, but like 14 was like really when I kissed my first boy, and I liked it, and I had my first boyfriend at that age and stuff. And basically, like, I kind of went through all that. He became not so nice a person, and I guess part of that put me off the whole idea, and it made me like kind of draw back into myself. And I basically said, like, I couldn't be that because that was wrong. For a long time, and then it took all the way to 19 to actually go, know what? No, I was right the first time. I don't know why I've been denying myself this happiness. So I decided to start making videos, and like, they started helping people. A lot of people found some solace in them. Some people found something which gave them a little bit of strength. Like, and it was amazing getting messages from people from all around the world saying, like, I watched your videos and I came out the other day. My family were really accepting, and now I have a boyfriend, and I'm like, that's amazing. Like, that's so incredible. And I mean that, like, one little 3-minute video of me just going, this is how bisexuality felt for me, kind of thing, gave someone the strength to go up to their family and say, like, know what, I'm going to change my life now because I want to be happy. And like, the more people I can do that for, the more amazing that is for me, because like, that's the best feeling, like, knowing that you got to help somebody out by just being there for them and being that person, which I never got to have. So like, I really like that.
Well, I think we have some questions because, well, so I'm the only gay person here. Excuse me. I'm the only part of the LGBTQ plus community here. But I think we all have some questions from a gay point of view, and then from their point of view. Y'all got questions about bisexuality that you ever
I
asked?
guess my first question, Courtney, is just around, since you started the channel, I guess, what do you see as the most common struggle that people come to you trying to like work through?
But I think the first thing is like, it'd be really odd, like when people message me, because I say at the end of all my videos, like, feel free to DM me, like, and like people are actually surprised when they DM me and I reply back to them. They're like, "Oh my god, you actually replied." I'm like, "Well, I wouldn't say message me if you couldn't." Like, that's like what kind of marketing is that? Yeah, message me and just have 1,000 messages going like, "Look, they actually messaged me." Like,
psych your mind.
Yeah, like that would be counterproductive. So like, I try and reply to all these people, and like the first thing they always say, like, "Oh, I like guys and I like girls. I think I might be bi, but I don't know." I'm like. You've already just told me that you have the two things that make you bi. Like, the only other thing you could be is like you could be attracted to more things, and like so like let's go into depth about this. And like, yeah, sometimes they'll come out with like the strangest things, and I'm like you realize you're answering your own questions for you, like.
But that's like the hardest thing, right? The hardest thing. Well, I mean, you two haven't had to deal with it, although Chris always gets confused for gay, or often. He has often got confused.
Well, and I guess to your point, Nate, like that's why I was wondering, do you find people being, how can I put this? I find in these days it seems like, especially teenagers, are being forced to try to put themselves in a particular box, right? And try to like look at different things about themselves. Oh, I like wearing heels and I like football, so that means I must be X, right? Mm-hmm. And so do you find that people are struggling trying to put themselves in a box versus just being who they are?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I've had so many people message me about these sort of things, and I always say to them, like, stop looking for the label. Like, stop thinking that you need to label yourself. You're like, at any age, like, see, people kind of label themselves and they think, "Oh, that's me. This is my box. This is bisexuality here." It's like, well, you haven't lived your life. Like, you might, like, I could go through my whole life, and I've dated one girl, and then I meet a guy, and then all of a sudden I'm bisexual because it took that special person to make me feel that way. Like, people don't take into account that, like, sometimes it's the experiences that we have. It's the different people we're around which allow us to open our minds to those things. So you don't have to force this label on yourself. And just because you've labelled yourself as something doesn't mean that it can't change. Because, I'm not the same person I was when I was 17. I'm not the same person I was when I was 14. When I was 14, I went into denial about it. Now I'm 27 and I'm super confident about it. Like, that person is someone who's completely different. And if you approached me when I was 14, I was like, no, don't, wait till like, get out of my face. Like, do you want to fight about it? Like, kind of thing. Like, that's how I would have been, because I would have been so defensive about it. And like, yeah, like, I think people just like, they think like, oh, because you have to, if you wear high heel boots, that's like, there's famous singers who have worn high heel boots and makeup and like, come on stage looking amazing. Like I think of the band Kiss and stuff like that. Like, nobody goes, "Oh, well, they're all gay." I was like, well, no, they're all womanizers. Like, like, it's just like we've got this perception of what like is queer and what isn't queer. Like, wear what you want, dress how you want. Doesn't mean like sexuality and identity are two very different things. And I think like part of the problem with the LGBTQ plus is there keeps being more and more stuff added, and it gets more and more confusing by the day. Like, it really does. Like, there are so many. You got pronouns, you got labels. Like, I speak to people and they go, "I'm this, this, and this." I'm like, I don't even know what that is, and I feel like I should because I make content on it. But like, it's so drastically changed, and that's a good thing as well. It's not a bad thing. It means I have more to learn. But like, the reason why there's so many labels and so many more labels coming out is because people are not comfortable being in this box. So I just say, instead of just saying any label, just say you're open-minded. If you're open-minded, that means you can be whoever you want, you can do whatever you want, you can dress however you want, and you can decide at a later date. I mean, I feel like it's kind of like, when you first come out of school, and you're told, oh, you've got to get the best grades because you've got to get a great job. And you've got to know that great job by the time you're 21, because that's when you're going to be out in the world getting that job.
Yeah.
How many people at 21 are in the job which they
Yeah.
stay in for the rest of their life?
Right.
Not
Yeah.
that many, because
I mean, that is a very, very, absolutely, very good point. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast
yeah,
too about like learning, because in America, basically you got to know who you want to be before you
before
leave
you know who you
university.
are.
I mean, before you get to university. Yeah, well, yeah, because like when you get to university, you have to choose a major. You did something similar, right? So you went to college, you did a degree in
game design.
game design. You
Yeah,
said
yeah. So I did
game design, and now you're doing
refrigeration engineering.
refrigeration
Yeah,
repairs. Yeah, exactly. So like, I mean, I luckily I did happen to find what I wanted, but I started out doing something I wasn't going to be able to do, and then I switched to MBA, to not MBA, but to business later. But like you haven't even discovered the world like before you get into university. How are you going to be? Yeah.
I mean,
So,
I mean, our
yeah,
frontal
yeah.
lobes aren't even fully developed until 25-ish.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
to think we're gonna know and cement like all these hard and fast things about ourselves at that age, I think is a fallacy, and I think it leads us to, I think labels are useful to help us have like a conversation, right? So
Yes,
when you have
right.
definitions for
Mhm.
things, we can talk about it, and we know we're all talking about the same thing. But to
Right.
use the label to try to define yourself, I think is where it could be an issue.
Well,
In my opinion.
That's a good point, but I will say that I knew that I was gay. Well, okay, so I didn't have the label gay, but I knew that I was attracted to guys since I was in like elementary school.
Yeah.
Right? So somewhere around 8, 7 or whatever, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it meant, but we grew up in a religious, the same religious denomination, so and it wasn't really taught. In fact, it was definitely like not even frowned upon, but like preached against, sort of thing. So when I discovered what it was, I wasn't going to be able to pursue it or to explore it or anything like that. But when I discovered what the label was, I totally embraced it. Like I was like, this is a label that describes me. The only thing is, it's weird because the Kinsey. You all know the Kinsey spectrum, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
You've heard of it? Yeah, it's the spectrum that it goes from like 100% straight to 100% gay,
Okay.
and then basically he's saying that like everyone falls up on the spectrum, so there's really no 100% straight or 100% gay. Like everyone's somewhere in between, something like that. So, anyways, I remember when I had come to live in Europe, so I was in Geneva, and I had met some people that I was working with, and I asked them if they ever found women attractive, because I find women very attractive, and they were super gay.
Nate has had a few obsessions in his life. We'll just say that.
Yeah, let's see that.
Please continue, Nate.
I'm sorry, Courtney. Tim, no inside jokes. I'm sorry. Anyways, yeah. So I find women attractive. I like attractive, but not sexually attractive, right? And I have no desire to be like in a relationship with them. It wouldn't work.
Yeah, I think a lot of people
right,
like that.
it's just,
like you can see the attraction. Like even before I come out, I could tell if I had a very good looking friend or like if they were a guy or a girl. And I know plenty of straight guys go like, oh, he's a good looking guy. You know people who are attractive, and you can appreciate someone's you can appreciate someone's like physical form. I would say like a voluptuous woman, a very like muscular man, and stuff like that. You don't have to be queer to like go like, oh yeah, they're attractive. And I feel like there's a lot of toxic like masculinity which gets involved there, where people are like, oh no, he's ugly. Everyone's ugly. Oh, only women are sexy.
Well, I mean, so what I was going to say is, like, in the gay community, it's also the same, or somewhere in some places, because when I was saying it when I was in Geneva, I asked my friends if they found women attractive, and they made like this disgusting face, and like, no, never, or something like that, right? I was like, maybe I'm bi. Like that was the question that popped into my head at the time, because I was just like, I do find women attractive, but and then I had a dorm mate at the time. She was very attractive, and she was like, we were all just like playing this game, and they were like, "Would you?" They asked me if I'd ever sleep with a woman, and I was like, quite possibly. I was like, I don't know. Like, it'd have to be like you were saying. Like the situation, it would have to be the right person. The situation would have to be like just whatever. But
I've had a friend who's completely straight, and I know he slept with a guy, and he told me it just wasn't for him. And like, I respect that because like a lot of people say like, oh, well, you've done it, so you must be gay, you must be bi, you must be something. It's like, well, you can be what's called bi-curious, which basically means that you can experiment, realize you don't like it, and come back. That's perfectly fine. People feel like you can't just try these things. Like, we try everything. Like, that's human nature. We're curious about a lot of things. Right. So why can't you explore that? Why does it have to be this set like rule? Like, oh, once you've done it, that's it. There's just no going back. Like, you must be queer. You got to say you're LGBTQ plus now because because he's not into that. But like, I respect him for trying it because he wanted to know what it felt like, and if he could feel that way to someone, and he doesn't. So like, yeah, and I don't think that makes him any less of a man. If anything, it makes him, I would say, even more manly because he's gone like, no, what, I know who I am, and I'm gonna see what like I want to know about myself. I'm gonna ask big questions about myself, and I'm gonna get the answers, and I respect that so much. So
I respect it as well. Tim, did you have something that you wanted to ask?
Not yet. I'm still laughing at. Anyways, so.
But yeah, so I do want to ask you, Courtney, because I saw on your first of all, like, so here's the big question. When I was growing up. Bisexuality. There was this article, right? In was it Gaiety? I think that's like the online web zine or whatever. And they were talking about bi-erasure and why so many bisexual people feel invisible. And they brought up some very interesting points in that article, which I had lived through when I was growing up. So when I wanted to come out, I told my mom that I was gay, and she said, "No, you're not." But again, we come from a very like conservative religious background, so like that was to be expected, I suppose. And then I said, "Maybe I'm bi," right? And then she said, "Maybe," right? So she had the hardest time accepting. She had just as hard of a time accepting it as I did. Like I'm exploring. And so this article actually spoke about that, talking about bi is being the first step on the way to homosexuality. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, so many times.
Tell me your thoughts.
Oh man, I can, like, I've made videos on this subject. Like, bi-erasure is a very real thing. So I was actually like, so a good point of this is like, I'm a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. So like, I love the show. I've watched it like 20 times. Like, and there's a character in it called Willow. Yeah, and she's an amazing character. She starts off and she's straight. She has boyfriends and everything. Then she gets a girlfriend like halfway through the series, and she never says once that she's bisexual. She just says that she's gay from that point. But we've seen her have fully intimate, deep relationships where she's been in love with boys. And I was kind of like, oh, why do they do this? And I was like, years later, I never really thought about it. Literally a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I'm going to look up why she doesn't say that she's bi. Because like, I always perceived her as bi after that. And the creator of the show basically said, people weren't ready for this character to be bi. They had to be gay because people wouldn't accept a bi character. And I was like, what? Like, that's mental.
Yeah. Okay.
And basically, like, it's stuff like that. So, like, a character or, like, you know, or a person you know who basically came out of bi once and then they became gay. And all of a sudden that becomes synonymous with all bisexuals. Because the more it happens, the more, like, people go, well, I knew a bi guy once who was gay. I knew a bi girl, now she's gay. So that must mean that bisexuality doesn't exist. It's like, well, no, because there's plenty of bisexuals who are bisexual. Like, they are attracted to men, they are attracted to women. And one of the biggest things I have with the problem with it is that, so I came out and I actually haven't had a boyfriend since. because I got into a relationship with my girlfriend. Like before that, in secret, I dated loads of guys. Like I was with guys and stuff like that. But like when I came out, it wasn't about like, oh, I want to have a boyfriend now. The whole experience of coming out for me was just going like, I get to be me now. Like for so many years, I've kept that part of me secret. Now I get to be me. And basically, I met a girl. She is stunning. She's amazing. She's so lovely. And the first thing I said to her when I was speaking to her is that I am bisexual, and if that's a problem, we can't talk. And she went, why would it be a problem? And from that moment, I was like, this girl is special.
That's the response you want to hear.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, so many people be like, oh, well, you know, like, oh, God, like, guys who are bi can, like, they're passing. Like, you can straight pass.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you don't realize how hard it is for, like, it's harder to date as a bi person than it is to date as a gay person or a straight person. I can tell you that now because
elaborate on that.
Right. So because people don't trust bisexuals, like literally, you can speak to some people and they'll just be like, they're bi. Good luck with that one. Because they think that if you're bisexual, you're greedy, you're promiscuous, that somehow you're some nymphomaniac. Like they can't understand that. Like, you know, some people just like being in a relationship. Some people are monogamous. Like I am a monogamous person. Like I like to be with one person. I cherish that person. Like that is who I'm with. And like I've said to people, like I'm in a relationship, and they're like, "Yeah, but you're bi." I'm like, "Okay, you're gay. What's the difference here? Like, you're straight. I'm in a relationship. Bisexuality does not mean that I'm a crappy person. Okay, bisexuality means that I'm attracted to men and women. That's how I see my bisexuality. And it can be different for other people. You can see like if you look at the definition of bisexuality, it's actually being attracted to like other genders, which is like. But that's not how I see my bisexuality. My bisexuality is men and women. But for anybody who sees it the other way, that's perfectly fine as well. That's perfectly valid because you know you find the truth in your label. That's why I say like, who am I to say that that's wrong, and who is anybody else to tell you that you have to live your life a certain way? Like at the end of the day, the whole point of coming out is living your life for you. So yeah, like bi-erasure is just happens all the time. Like and it's terrible. It really is. And I actually hate it because I've had like loads of comments on my videos where like you'll get bi now, gay later, or like, oh, you know, you're just doing this for attention. I'm like, why would I do this for attention? Because tell you what, the negative attention, like I may get a little bit of positive attention, but I've got people like messages saying, oh, go kill yourself. I'm gonna kill you. Like, you're gonna burn in hell. Like, you know, I'm like, cool. Hell sounds great, because like all the queer people are down there. And
welcome to the club.
Yeah, like if I went to hell, it sounds like a good time because like I mean, we got the great people down there. We got like Freddie Mercury. You know, like we're gonna have good music. We're gonna have good clothes. We're gonna have good food. Like it sounds like a great time down there, man. Like heaven sounds like it's full of assholes, really. So like,
that's funny because that's what I told myself. I was like, when I came out and then I just like left my religion. I was like, you know, I honestly do not want to be in the same heaven as they are.
Yeah.
I was like, if this is where they're going, no, because that is something I don't want to have to deal with.
I went to.
Sorry, haven't you guys watched the show Love is Blind? Any of you?
Oh, wait.
Do you recall?
I think so.
On season 1, there was a bisexual guy. And the issue was he had so many negative experiences, right, with all these negative stereotypes that he wasn't comfortable telling the person he was matched with up front. So in the show, like, you don't see the person. You just talk them through a wall, and then you propose. And then you deal with them after that, right? And so the whole time he's thinking about, I'm not going to tell her this because she might not respond appropriately. So what he did was not tell her, propose after they're together, and she accepted the proposal. Then he told her, "Oh, by the way, I'm bi," right? And she was kind of like,
no.
"Wait, what?" And so she took a little bit of a step back, like, "Wait a minute, like, I need to process this."
Yeah.
He immediately, from all of his trauma, took that as rejection, like, you know, being phobic and all that, and he really like flipped out. And basically, to shield himself, lashed out at
You stopped
her
approving.
and like broke the whole thing open.
Oh, no.
Right? And I was like,
Wow.
to me, that was so sad that you already prejudged yourself from her perspective, and then essentially caused to happen what you were trying to avoid. I don't know if you had some experience with people you talked
That's
to.
a broken person there.
So I haven't had that experience, but I completely get it. So like one of the things what I advise people when they message me, like they're like, "Oh, I've got a religious family, you know, I've got a girlfriend, I've got a boyfriend, whatever." I always say like, when you tell them, do not take the initial reaction as their reaction, because what you got to think is like when you're figuring out your sexuality, okay, like it took me 5 years to accept myself. And what I'm trying to do when I tell someone that I'm coming out is I'm expecting them to take all the 5 years that I've gone through my own inner like turmoil for them to go, yeah, that's okay, cool, brilliant, fantastic. Like you've got to give them time to process it. Like it may take weeks, may take months. But like when I told my dad, the initial reaction, he seemed great. Like he was like, "Oh, son, like you know, I love you," kind of thing. And then like a couple of days later, he just didn't talk to me. He didn't talk to me for ages, and I was like, "This is off." Like my dad always talks to me. Me and my dad are like best friends. Like I'd come out on Facebook and I told everybody. Like I've gone like, and like I got loads of positive feedback, and I was basically talking to him. I was like, "Oh, I got really nice messages from like my uncle Lenny, who's like in his like 60s or 70s, and he's like congratulated me." I was like, "This is amazing! Like this man's in his 70s, and like he doesn't care. He just wants me to be me." And like my dad was like, he just like kind of blew it off, and I was like, "Wait a minute! Like what's up with you? Okay, because like I'm gonna be like pretty candid with you now. Like you've been funny with me for the last couple of days." And he's like, "Oh well, you know, you should have asked me before you decided to come out on Facebook." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Well, it's like something you should have talked to me first because I wanted to prepare my family for it and everything." I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "This isn't about you. This is about me. Like, this isn't about your family. This is about me telling everybody." Like, and then like the thing what he came out with is like, it's like, "Well, personally, I felt like I failed as a father," and I was like that cut like a knife. Like, I broke down into tears. I was just like, "Oh man, I can't believe that." The man that I've idolised all my life because he's been my hero, because he's always been there for me and supported me, would say something like that to me. And like, flash forward to now, okay, my dad is the most supportive person out of anybody. Like, he watched me in Heartstoppers. I was in a magazine. I was in what's it called? It's a queer magazine. I completely forget. Attitude. Yes. So I had just like a piece talk.
I know my queer.
Yeah. So I got in there just talking about bisexuality, and it was like a really cool thing for me to do. And it was published, and I was like, I'm in an official magazine. Like this is awesome. So I bought a copy for myself, and I bought a copy for my dad. I would have bought a copy for my mum, but I know like the house that my mum lives in, my brothers and sisters would have just destroyed it. So I was like, I'm gonna give it to my dad because I know he'll look after it. And I remember him taking it, and he was like, "This is amazing, son." And he put it on, like, my dad's a builder, so he's like working man, like the industry he works in. Everyone was like, "Oh, lad," kind of thing. Like, so like, they're not the kind of people you'd be talking about like queer content to. Trust me on that. So like, and he put it on like his like his little dash bit, and I was like, "Dad, you do realise that's a queer magazine that you're going to be driving around in your van with?" And he was like, "Yeah, I don't care, I'm proud of it." And I was just like, wow. Aww. Like the full circleness of that, from going like, I feel like I failed as a father, to being that proud that I'm in like this magazine that he can just put it there, and like if anybody asks about it, he'd be like, "Yeah, shut up, that's my son in there, like he's amazing." And I'm just like, it literally, it makes me tear up a little bit, like, because it's just amazing to see how much like my dad's changed as a person. And that's something I tried to put forward, because like, everyone probably thinks when I make my videos and all that, "Oh, well, his family probably were fully accepting of him." Like, you know, everyone was like really, you know, comes from a good background, or like probably never had to deal with religion. I went to a Catholic school. Like, my family is religious on like my mom's side and everything. But like, it just takes time for this stuff to process. Like, and it takes conversations and talking about it and understanding it, and like realizing that it doesn't change me as a person. Like, I am still the person that I was yesterday. I'm still his son. Like, nothing has changed except for like, I'm just being honest with him. And he came back to me about a month later. I did my like coming out video and everything, and he watched it, and he come up to me and he was just like, you know what, son? Like, he's like, I apologize for everything I said. It was a mistake. It's like, I haven't failed as a father because you're a bigger man than me. You're one of the bravest men
Oh,
that I know doing what you've done. And I was just like, and I hugged him and I sobbed and everything. It was a really nice moment. But like, if I just took it off like face value, if I just gone like my dad saying that and I didn't give it time and I just like flipped out on him, like stormed off, left, ran away kind of thing, because there are people who will do that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, definitely.
yeah,
I'd be one of them.
yeah. So like, it may have not become like the happy story what it is now, and it would have always stayed on that negativity because he needed that time to process it. He needed that time to understand me and what I've gone through and like what it meant to me doing this. Like me, like, because he was one of the last people I told, and he was like, "Why am I the last person you've told?" And I said, "Like, well, you want to like people don't realize that when you come out to some people, you usually tell the people that you know are going to accept it first. That's what you do. You go for the first people because you want to get like that.
Well,
It's like the easy hit. It's like, oh yeah, okay, right, that's one. Like, let's go on to the next one. Let's go on to the next one. You save the people that you're most worried about or you care the most about to last, because if one of them take it negatively, it collapses. Like, that's how you feel. Like, so I said to him, like, you weren't the last person because I didn't care. You're the last person because you're one of the people I cared most about, and like I wouldn't have been able to take it if you didn't come around how he did, and he did. So yeah, like the whole acceptance thing and giving it its time is super important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I told my siblings before I told either of my parents, because I was pretty sure my siblings didn't care, but I wasn't. I was like 85% sure that they'd be okay with it. But no, they just looked at me like I was stupid. They're like, and
that's how my mom reacted.
so like, and then I told my parents, but you're right. Yeah, you don't want the ones that you're closest to. You know, it's going to hit like a truck if they don't take it the way that you're hoping, you know. So, and you're also right. You got to give it time.
That makes sense.
You can't just be like jumping it through. Yeah, you can't jump into it. I told these two. Go ahead, Tim.
What I was gonna say, because like, you know, like when people hear stuff like that, you know, the first thing they're gonna think is, what does this mean about me? You know, sometimes like when people hear big news, the first person they think about is me. They have to process that then to think about somebody else. So that makes sense. I understand that.
Yeah, they think, oh, like, their life's changed, and like they don't just see it as the person in front of them has changed. It's like, how does this affect me and him now? Like, yeah.
So like when I told y'all, so I told you two, I told all of them. Tim, when I told you, what were you processing? Like, what were you thinking? Because like,
that's what I was telling you.
I told you.
Hold on, man. I'm all gruggly. I don't know what's going on with me.
Drink you some water, right?
Yeah.
That is a new word. We're pinning it.
Sorry about that. I don't know what was going on with me. So, when you told me, I was thinking like, because you know all the stuff that we was like I was telling you, all the stuff we was talking about, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you some background, Courtney, real quick. So, we like I say, we all come from the same religious denomination, okay? I was trying to be straight, right? So I was like trying to pray the gay away and like have faith that I'd become straight. I really just didn't want to be gay because it was just going to be a harder road to, you know, whatever. And so one of the reasons that Heartstopper was so successful is because it's a positive story of queer love, right? But everything that when I was growing up, everything that I had seen, it was just AIDS, you know, like star-crossed lovers sort of thing, you know, or whatever. Like it was just all very grim and gritty. So it's just not something that I wanted to live, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was trying my best to be straight. In the process of doing that, I was dating, and I did find women attractive. So I could not deny that. So I was trying to date. I never dated anybody really, but I was I was trying to talk to women that I found really attractive, because in hopes of, if I married them, and a lot of gay people have this issue, especially in religious factions or whatever, or whatever. They hope that by marrying someone of the opposite sex, that they will be that'll make them straight, maybe, take them out of the phase or whatever the situation is. So I did that. So I tried that. So these guys, they know of my pursuits, my pursuits of women that I did find very attractive, and I. Like Chris said, I went hard for it. So none of them ever worked out, luckily. But yeah. So, anyways, Tim, go ahead.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you
So,
were
like
saying?
I was saying, the stuff you was telling me and the long conversations about that, and then one day he was like, "Yeah, I'm gay." I was like, "Okay, great." That's the only thing I can think
Talk
of.
to you later.
Because it was just flipped right on the other side of everything. So I was like, "Okay, great."
That's a good
And
reaction,
he
though. That's the
left.
kind of reaction you want. Like, I did something similar
Well, yeah.
with my mate Joey. So I have a best friend called Joey. Yeah, he has an awesome partner called Nathan. And basically, I remember when he came out to me, he messaged me on Messenger on Facebook, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm gay," and I was like, "Cool." And he was like, "No." He's like, I'm gay," and I was like, if you're trying to make a joke of this, this isn't funny, but if you're really gay, I was like, that's cool, man.
People have died.
Yeah, if I don't find it funny if you're trying to fake come out to me, but if this is serious and everything, I was like, that's cool with me, man. And he was like, I was expecting more. I think that's the a thing what you have when you're queer. It's because you build it up so much in your head. When it does go right, it's almost quite deflating. I remember when I came out to my mom and I was like, "Mom, I'm bisexual." I got out, I climbed out of bed, and I walked in, I was half asleep or something. "Mom, I got to tell you something." I was like, "I'm bisexual," and she was like, "Okay, yeah." She's like, "I always knew. Go back to sleep." I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "No, Mom, I'm being serious. I'm bisexual." And she's like, "Baby, I've known since you were little. Mums know." I was like, "Okay." She's like, "I love you. Go get some sleep." And I was like, "Okay, Mom." I went back to bed. I laid in the bed and I was like, "This wasn't the moment I was expecting." I was just "Oh, baby, come here. I'm
expecting screaming and yelling, or that.
I was expecting it was just it was so deflating, but it's the best kind of deflation. I think a lot of people go
It is
for
the
it, and
best,
it's kind of that's how you want it to go. But because you thought about it for so long, you're like, no, it never goes this easy.
Yes.
So when it does, it's
Right.
it's a massive surprise. So Taraz, your reaction is the best reaction. It may be the most deflating reaction, but it's the kind of reaction which everybody wants, because if everything was like that, there would be no problem coming out. If everyone was just like, "Yeah, that's cool,"
There wouldn't be.
it would just be a thing.
They wouldn't even have to.
No, it's just "Oh, dude, I like dudes."
Right?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You don't even need to say you like dudes. You just come up with a boyfriend "Oh yeah, we're together," and Sam, nice to meet you, kind of thing. Instead of the whole ooh kind of thing. So yeah,
yeah, stressful. What is it? What's the one I really hated hearing was something something "I love you, but I can't accept it," or something like that, or blah blah blah. I just got really hard, and I just I don't actually care about your opinion.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know, but I just whatever. But anyways, before we end, I did want to talk to you about something that's very important. I don't know if the other two, want to have anything to say about it, but do you have on your Twitter account a pinned post, and you have between 15 and 18. You didn't want to live because you were bisexual.
Yeah.
So could you elaborate a little on that? What was that? If you want to.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not ashamed of that in any way. That's the reason I put it there. That's why I have it pinned there, because I know there are plenty of kids who feel like that. There are kids younger than that who feel like that. So, as I said, when I was 19, I was probably at the lowest point of my life. Like, I literally used to like just sleep in bed all day, and like, I know, like, oh, lazy teenager, you know, you stay in bed, but it wasn't like that.
Right.
Like, I'd wake up and I'd be like, I don't want to move. Why do I want to do anything? And I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Like, I just had no enthusiasm for anything. Like, I was tired all the time. Like, when I did things, it was so half-assed. Like, I was just constantly in this loop of like, life is just so meh. Like life is just painful, essentially. Like, everything is like, I hated my job. Like, I hated getting up. I hated leaving my house. I hated being around people. And I just couldn't figure out what it was. And like, I always used to have this feeling like in the back of my head that everyone disliked me. And that all built up, and that made me feel like it made me depressed. Like, and that's what I figured out it was eventually, is that I was depressed. Okay, like I was just miserable all the time. And my dad said to me, like, he realized that I remember, like, because it'd been years of, like, obviously from the 15 to like 19, I was going through this whole phase. And I remember writing a note to my dad saying, like, I had him sit next to me. It wasn't me coming out to him. It was just me saying, expressing my feelings, how I was feeling down all the time. I wrote down this note that, like, sometimes I feel like it'd be better if I wasn't here. Like, sometimes it feels like it'd be better if I killed myself. I remember my dad hugging me and saying, like, he's felt that way. Like, he felt that pain. And at the time, I couldn't tell him the reason why I feel that way. Because, like, what you tend to find is it's not... Depression doesn't happen because you're sad. Depression happens because something bad, something big is always on your mind. And what happens is it contaminates everything else. So the reason why I didn't like people is because of how I felt about my sexuality. The reason why I didn't like going outside is because of how I felt about my sexuality. The reason why I just wanted to sleep all the time is because of how I felt about my sexuality. The reason why I hate it, and it just goes into everything, because it just seeps in. Because no matter what you try and do, it's always in the back of your mind, even if you're not thinking about it. It's like a subconscious thing. And so I got to that point where I was like, this is either going to kill me, or I gotta be myself, because like I can't go on feeling this way, because it's just not going to work out for me. So I decided to come out, and that's why that bit's there, because I think that's probably the most important part of that tweet, is that, like, you can beat it. Like, that's the message I'm trying to give to those kids. It's not just kids; it's older people as well. There'll be people in their 20s, 30s. You know, people who've lived with this for a long time, and they're getting to that point where, like, they're at the edge. You know, and they just hate themselves, because that's how it feels. Is like when you're in denial about it, you start to hate everything about yourself. Like, and because you can't embrace it. Like. So, like, you see, like, queer people, and you're like, you start using slurs towards them, you start saying hateful things, because you feel like if you can dissociate yourself from that, then eventually, like you said with, like women, you pursued women because you felt like if you actually got with a woman, maybe it would make you less gay. And that's how I felt. It was like, as long as I disassociated myself with being queer, like, maybe eventually I'll wake up one day and go, like, yeah, I'm straight as they come. And it's just not the truth. It's just not the truth. You're just hiding from the inevitable. And either that inevitable is going to eat you up, or you're going to get past it. And that's the only way to do it, is to eventually come out. And that's why I made the choice what I did. But yeah, for that longest time, like, I was waking up days and I was like, you know, just sitting in the kitchen with, like, it's horrible to say, like, sit in the kitchen with a knife and just be like, could I do it? And I'm glad I didn't.
I'm curious.
Well, I actually... Oh.
Go ahead, Nate.
Go ahead, Chris. Well, the reason why I asked is because I also had the same... I had that same thought process as well. And I had made a plan to commit suicide because of my religious beliefs and my sexuality. And I had said that I would go through it if a certain thing didn't happen, which a certain thing did happen, thankfully. So it stopped me in my tracks. I prayed to God, because I was very conservative religion. I mean, I still believe in God, but not in the religious.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Like, I've spoken to people about, like, the whole God thing, and like people say, how can you be queer and like be queer and be with God? And like, of course you can. Like, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
people change religion to fit their views all the time. Like,
Oh, that's true.
like if people were really truly like, I am a devout Christian Catholic, like, have you seen how many rules that they have to abide by? At which nobody is abiding by those rules. Yeah, like they don't abide. Like, so you can't pick and choose.
It's not just Catholics.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so.
yeah. It's every religion. Like, you can't pick and choose. If you're gonna like follow it devoutly and you're gonna start using it to like, you know, be discriminatory towards people and, you know, racist and homophobic and sexist and stuff like that, you better start following the other stuff as well, because otherwise you're just full of shit. That's the honest truth. Like, you can't say to one person like, oh, you can't be that, but you do the other thing. I was like, you're just as bad. You're just, in fact, you're worse because you're trying to go like, oh well,
probably worse,
you know, but the thing is, they believe that like, oh, I can pray the sin away. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. The sin, if you didn't really like, when you committed those things, if you didn't like go like, oh no, I'm truly sorry about this, that's not how it works. Like, you've got, it's about repenting, so it's actually feeling guilty, and those they will,
and not wanting to recommit.
Yeah, not being really committed. But if you're just doing it, that's not repenting. That's not what you think it is. Like, but it's just people twist things to their own motive.
That's a whole other conversation.
That's like,
Chris, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I had a question for you, Courtney. Was, you know, you mentioned, I think we were talking either on the podcast or before, around how you don't present as stereotypically bi, right? You like masculine things. You have a girlfriend, right? So when you fully accepted yourself, what did that look like for you? Like, what was different for you? What did you feel more comfortable being once you made that switch, or was nothing really different?
Like, a few things changed, but this is the thing. Like, everyone thinks that it's going to be a dramatic change. You're going from like the cocoon to a butterfly. Like, all of a sudden, I'm going to be dressed in pink and walking down the street. It's like, it wasn't like that. It was like
in the pride.
I would say, funny enough, it's the way I spoke. So like, I speak the same, but now I speak with confidence. There's a difference between speaking and speaking with knowing who you are. Because like, then you can stand by your points. Like, then you can like speak your truth. And that sounds like really preachy, but it's true. Like, I can be more confident in what I say because I know who I am. I know what I've experienced. I know what I've gone through. And like, I embrace who I am. And I wouldn't have done that before. I used to be really quite quiet, quite placid. Like, I would never get involved in stuff because I was always scared of who I was.
That would come out.
Yeah, and like, clothing-wise, like, I probably wear a bit more colour. I used to wear like a lot of just white and black because I didn't want to be expressive because people might question my expressiveness. So like, this is a baby blue, like, you know, Letterman jacket, like that sort of stuff. Like, it doesn't, to everyone else, that's probably not a big thing. But like, if you went back to Courtney when he was 14, and I said, go put that bright blue jump on, I'd be like, does that make me look a little bit gay? Does that make me look a bit
you were talking about it all the time. So for you,
exactly.
it is gay because.
So like, if I wore black and white, if I just wore black and white, then I'd never have to worry because nobody's going to go like, wow, black's a really gay colour. White's a really gay colour. Like, no, like that's why I wore like quite neutral colours. So now I wear like, add a bit more colour into it. Like, I did my hair different kind of thing. Like, it's little things which you can do and you can feel confident behind, and that's how it was for me. And a lot of people will take it to a much higher level because that's who they want to express themselves of, and that's perfectly fine. But for me, it was just little things, and just being able to talk about certain subjects. Like, I could talk about like how I was attracted to these people, how like I was into this type of music or this show, because beforehand I was like, well, you know, I said like I really like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Back then, I would have been like, I really like Buffy the Vampire Slayer because I'm like, does that make me? It's like a cheesy, like 90s flick. Yeah. Does that make me seem less masculine because I'm into that? But like, it doesn't.
Like Buffy the
but people don't realize. Man, listen, you don't count.
Oh, I don't.
No, but y'all, like, people don't realize. They don't realize like the amount of mental processing that queer people, like closeted queer people, have to do to try to maintain this facade that they feel like they have to. In some cases, they actually have to maintain a facade for risk of, you know, being killed or even excommunicated or whatever the situation is. But let me tell you, man, like people in the LGBTQ plus community are some great actors, especially if they're closeted. You know, like y'all don't know. Like I love the color pink. It's not my favorite color, but I love the color pink, and I would have never been able to wear. I would have never worn it. You know, because I like, does this make me? Will this make me feel act too gay or whatever? Will other people start assuming and stuff like that? And I was very defensive when people called me gay. People would ask me. I have my aunt asked me, and I was just I was like, no. She like asked me, and it wasn't like aggressive. She's not an aggressive person. She just asked me, and I was just like, no. You know, like I'm just whatever. So they don't. People don't realize like we be having to go through some stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, you're right. Once you're able to be yourself and just come out and just like breathe. Yeah, you do find confidence. You find you're just able to just you know wear what you want to wear, watch what you
Yeah.
want to watch, talk about what you want to talk about. Like you're able to be a normal person, like the
Yeah.
person that's
Right.
in front of you. You know.
Yeah, and
So
what I
Yeah,
appreciate
this is-
about what you've been saying, Courtney, is you were simply just being you. Again, watching what you want to watch, liking what you like, not trying to be bisexual or trying to look a certain, you know what I mean, or to try to fit any kind of particular template of what people would expect a label to look like. You know, and for,
Yeah,
you know,
but
for me, I appreciate that.
but that's a pitfall, though. That's a
But yeah, but
pitfall.
I think there are when I see a lot of like kids these days. I think a lot of kids are looking for communities and places to fit, and I think
Yes,
I think a lot of
that's-
it is okay. This group is accepting. Let me do things that fit over here. So that means I'm going to
Yep.
overdo things or do things that aren't really me because that's what someone like me would do. You know, and so
Right.
Well,
it's a lot of
and
confusion happening.
But see, that's the problem. So for example, me like when after I came out, I wanted to I didn't want to dress in drag. I wanted to dress like a diva and do a show. Like I wanted to dress but not in drag. You know, with the um, where they paint over your eyebrows and they draw your eyebrows on.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted everything as natural as possible. I just wanted to wear a dress, have like this bra or whatever, and just like I wanted to look fabulous, just regular with a wig or whatever, and then do a show. I wanted to kind of like be like a mix between I forgot who I said it was like Whitney Houston and somebody else. Like I just wanted to be like whatever. And when I had said that to my friends, oh, they were like, "Oh, you want to do drag?" And I was just like, "Does it mean I have to do drag in order to like? It doesn't mean I have to identify as a drag queen in order to do this. To just do this performance. I just want to do this performance. Drag queens are known for doing performances, but they're also known for their dress and how they how they do their makeup and stuff like that. I mean they have an entire show like what's it called, Drag Race.
RuPaul, yeah.
So they have an entire so they have an entire show. Like I was like I don't identify as that, but what I was saying to Christian is you're right, it is a pitfall because so you come out, you don't know where you belong. So you're gay, but you don't know where you belong. And now they have all these tribes, right? You're an otter, you're a bear, you're a this or that, or I don't know if y'all know what those are.
Yeah,
You're looking like
find out later.
I was the first time I ever heard about that. So
I'll be very careful Googling later to educate myself. Like,
exactly, but like, yeah, because watch out.
it's wild out there.
But anyways, like that's the problem. Like you come out the closet, and as I was saying, it's a pitfall because then you feel like you have to fit into, and this is what I fell into this, and I had to like dig myself out of it again. I had to find out who I was. Do I like this? It did allow me to try things that I didn't think I would try, but I had known before I started it that I wouldn't like it, and then I tried it and I didn't like it. So I was just like, oh no, I'm not. I'm not that. And so I've had to establish for myself, well, I am just this specific type of gay. Like I don't fit into all of these. I do fit into the label gay, but I don't tell people, oh, you have to fit into the label
Yeah,
gay. I just fit into the label gay,
like I completely agree with that. Like I feel like sometimes when you come out, because of like how like over the last I'd say like 2 or 3 years, like being queer has become so mainstream. Like it's like
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
like Pride's bigger. You've got TV shows of like art stuff are being made, but there's so many more shows coming out. Like go back 10 years ago, there maybe one, maybe two. Now there's like a
Yeah.
plethora of them, which is great because more representation is always better. It helps. Like there'll be that kid who watches that one show and it helps them become who they need to be. But the problem is, like I find, is like you see a lot of it leaning into quite heavy femininity. So guys wearing dresses and that kind of thing, and they look absolutely stunning, they look fabulous, like look amazing. But that doesn't always fit with like everybody who's coming out, and that can also like deter people as well because like the expectation, like. So I was watching Love Victor, and like there's quite a good thing in like season 2 where he's walking through the school. And he's a bit of a jock. He plays basketball. He doesn't really see himself very feminine. He doesn't like wear makeup or anything like that. And there's like, it's kind of cringy in a way because you have people coming up going like, "Oh, what's your skincare routine?" And everything. He's like, "I wash my face with water." Like, what shampoo and conditioner do you use? Because it looks fabulous. And it's like just because he's gay doesn't automatically mean that he's this like style guru. And like most queer people absolutely hate that. Like they don't want to be someone's like token like queer friend who's meant to know all the biggest fashions and like be fabulous, be willing to wear a dress on a night out so like all the like girls can love him and kind of thing. Like they like everyone is different. Like I always say, sexuality is not a personality, and like it feels like sometimes like because when you come out like everyone's praising you, you feel like you need to like, as you said, it's almost tribalism. You almost have to get into one of these groups and almost like excel in it to be like really respected. But like they're just people just living their lives. There'll be guys who come out next day, they just go to work in a suit and everything. They're just it's just Tim. Just Tim who's like come out, but like nothing changes. He's just Tim. Like there needs to be more of that representation as well, I think, because we've got so much of the extravagant, amazing, glamorous side of it, but there needs to be a little bit more like masculinity and showing like there are other sides to being queer. Because like I know from my friends Joey and Nathan, like they love that sort of stuff, but they don't connect with that sort of stuff. And it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy that stuff. It just means that like that's not them. Like
that's not true.
They would never like embrace that. Like my friend Joey started painting his nails. Like that's something he likes to do. But you'd never see him don a wig and paint his nails and put a full face of makeup because he doesn't like that. Like, but he respects it in like RuPaul. Like. So, I think it's kind of a difficult thing because as it becomes more mainstream, they're going to show that like it's always the most like extravagant stuff and loudest stuff which gets the most attention, isn't it? That's going to be the thing. Right, so like that's what people expect you to be when you come out, and like people don't realize is that you might just be the same person. And that's cool to be the same person. Like 'cause it's not a personality; it's just you. So I completely get that, the pitfalls. Like I remember I tried to use like I'm not very good with queer slang. Like it's just not my thing. It does not roll out of my mouth very good. Like I'm not like, oh yeah, sister. Like no, that's not me. Like if I did that, my mates would be like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, it's what I'm supposed to do now, isn't it? Like I'm like, oh yeah, sashay away. Like it's just like, oh like, oh daddy, like no, it's just not. It's not comfortable for me because it's not how I speak. But like whoever does feel like that, that's perfectly fine for them. But like. It feels like sometimes you have to kind of force that because that's what people want to see. And it's almost like you become a showpiece rather than a person. And like, you just got to be comfortable with who you are. It's finding that right thing because social media is so influential now. Like you got TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and all those things are telling you like you got to be like this if you want to have loads of likes and loads of followers and be amazing. Everyone's kind of feeding into that like that ego pleasing
It's very
thing.
intimidating.
Yeah, it's almost like the new form of drugs. Like it is. It's that dopamine thing. Like I've got to get them likes. So you know what? I've got to kind of sell a little bit of me to be a bit of that because that's what will work for me.
Yeah.
And like you'll find that a lot of people who are like that aren't like that in real life. Like they do it for the camera, and like, but the problem is young people are so influential from it. Like they go and do that, and they think that's how they have to be. And there's so many other ways you can be. So yeah, I completely get the pitfalls of it because it's a delicate thread to walk on, really.
Yeah, it's like rap music.
What?
I was
Exactly. Like that.
It's like rap music.
explanation.
People, they hear the music, they see the videos, they believe that's how they, how they have to be, and that's how they be. That's why you got a lot of.
I
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm a casual like hip hop listener, but like to me, I never saw that and was like, oh, I'm gonna go and like get a Bentley and be like, I enjoy the music, but I still talk like this, right? And I can so like I kind of understand like to a degree, like some because I mean in the Black community, right? Sometimes I feel like I'm not acting Black enough, right? Because like I'm kind of this way. I'm like, you know what? I like anime. I like computers. I like, whatever. I like hip hop too. I listen to stuff that people will be like, you listen to what? I'm like, yeah, I like this. Whatever. Yeah. You would never know. I don't blast it at volume 10 down the street, but I still listen to it, by myself. I get that about, just like being yourself. I'm this eclectic person, and that's cool. Like, that's me. And the people that like that particular set of stuff, we'll get along with. If they don't like it, they're not for me.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Wait, so
sorry. A lot of people feel like you can't like one thing and like the other thing. Like it just can't go together. Yeah. So like, I love rap music as well. Like NWA, Wu-Tang Clan, Notorious Big. They're like all like rappers what I absolutely love. But like, I'm expected to like Britney Spears and Mariah Carey and all that, and that's kind of music I'm not into.
I love me some Mariah. I love me some Mariah.
I like both, right? One more time, like Christina Aguilera, bring it all.
Christina Aguilera, great, but like that's the thing. Like people just don't expect it. Like people don't expect you to be able to like that and then like that. Like, but it's like we're different people. Like, why can't I like one thing and like the other thing? Why does it have to all fit into this one mold? Like break that mold. Be who you want to be.
Right, which is what you put on your Twitter, right? Yeah. But I had a question. I had a question for you two, Chris and Tim. How likely is sexuality? I mean, you can obviously chime in too, Courtney, if you have an idea. But how likely is a sexuality that is other than heterosexuality to be accepted or admitted in a Black Christian community? Well, I would say in America, because y'all is in America, but just in general, what do you all think? Did you?
So that's a forward and backward question, because one, it is. I mean, it's one of those things where it's accepted but not talked about. We all have have the people in the church that that we all know. Okay, yes. But we just don't talk about it. So yes. So in that sense, I get.
But it's not necessary. That wouldn't be considered accepted,
no, that's what I'm saying.
Right? That would just be considered.
We accept them for who they are. We just don't talk about it. They don't talk about it.
So I think it depends upon like the area and like the particular like church location, right, and denomination, because out here, outside our denomination, it's very common to have you may have a gay pastor
in the Black community.
Yeah, in the Black community, you may have a gay choir director, especially. Right, half the choir, right?
That's all the choir directors,
thing, right? Especially out here, but I think we look at like someone being maybe bisexual. I think from what I've seen, and again, I'm not deep in the community, but I think there's still a stigma there, right? Of you just not making a choice, right? Or you seem like you're confused, right? So to me, that's my perception. But again, not being in the depths of it, I don't really know the experience. But from what I've seen as far as churches out here, most churches again seem accepting of the gay community. anything outside of that, I don't know, because again, it's not as easy to like see, right? But also I'm just not in those conversations a lot of the time as well. So
Yeah.
Okay. Tim, you feel how do you? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, like I feel like this is like kind of a subject what's hard for me because one, England isn't as like a religious country as like America. So like we like when we see America, and we see like there's like heavy religious views over there, like really like
Oh, definitely.
yeah, like we don't have that so much in like Europe. Like religions, like I've only ever been to church because I went to a Catholic school. But I wouldn't choose to go to church. But like in America, it's quite common for like people to go to church on a Sunday, like get in their suits and everything, go there. And obviously you have like gospel churches over there as well, which are like I think is amazing. Like that would be so cool to be part of like that. And like the only reference I have to is like Sister Act and stuff like that. But like and Blues Brothers, like that like I would love to go to that. I'm not like a religious person, but I'd love to be a part of that because that's like amazing, and it's like
that's some fun
stuff.
Yeah,
like that's cool to see. Like we don't have that over here in England, man. Like you come here, like no one's like getting like the music like amazing. It's like hymns and stuff. You're like, oh god, everyone's trying to sing along. No one really knows the lyrics. Like it's like yeah, give us our daily bread, give us our trespasses, and amen. Like that's how it works in England, but in like America, it's completely different. So like. But like, as for like a person of color or being black, I don't know what the best term is for you guys. But like over here, I don't really have any friends. I know one person, and like I can see like I feel like it's so much harder for somebody who comes from that sort of background because of religion, and then because of like racist views anyway as well. Like you've got that on top as well as being queer. Like it's like it's I couldn't imagine. It must be the hardest thing. Like
it is the hardest thing, and the reason why I asked that is because we come up from a mostly all black church. And it is kind of a double-edged sword. I ended up coming out, but I didn't think I would. Coming out of the church, I didn't think I would. I thought I was going to stay in church, like help change it or whatever. It just didn't work out that way. But I am very well aware of the so the black community ends up being like a real family. Like a everyone knows everybody and stuff like that, whatever. And you grow up amongst these people and stuff like that. But then if you come out as a sexuality other than heterosexuality, then it's almost like it just goes from day to night, like it's just cold shoulder, people not talking to you and stuff like that. Yeah. Because like the black community, at least in America, is very steeped in religion, even if they're not like going to church. It's very steeped in religion, and reading the Bible or erroneous readings of the Bible and stuff like that. And if you go to like the South with black, don't do that. Like Louisiana, I would advise you not to do that. Like it's just very bad. I mean, it could good things can happen, but in general, and I asked these guys because, as they said, I haven't been in America for almost 10 years now, or 10 years plus. So I don't know if it has changed much. So that's why I was asking, because when I was there, it didn't seem very welcoming. You knew that if you told them something that they weren't going to like, they would turn their backs on you, sort of thing.
I think to your point, Nate, like our particular denomination of Christianity, I don't think it's changed that much. But I think the broader Christian environment, I think is further along. So, again, we come from a very, very, very conservative wing, right? So that's not really changing, but I think the broader environment, I think, has been more open for longer, and I think is progressing further.
That's good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that was I said last question maybe like 10 questions ago. So we're just gonna wrap it up here. Courtney, do you want to tell our audience where they can find you
Yeah. So
if they have like questions?
yeah, you can find me on YouTube. So it's Courtney Jai. I have lots of helpful videos to help you with your coming out process. But if you want to talk to me like one on one, the best place to get hold of me is on my Instagram, which is Courtney_J. So yeah, message me over there.
J spelled J-A-I.
Jai, yeah. I don't know if it will appear on the screen like how it is for us right here when it goes through. If it gets through.
Well, I mean, I'll put it on the episode,
Yeah.
so hopefully
So,
yeah.
that we're reading that.
Yeah, just come over, message me. We can have a chat, and we can see if I can help you out. But like, yeah, it's been amazing talking to you guys. I've actually had a lot of fun here. Like, I didn't realize we've been talking for so long because like, it's just a good laugh. So
yeah, we do this. I'm telling you.
We'll definitely have to have you come back sometime and talk about games next time. So.
Oh yeah,
yes,
like, oh man,
yes,
like games is like
so
it's gonna be like 3 hours long
games.
because I got.
Oh yeah. Trust me, we know. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, we haven't gotten our section about our socials, so we'll just call it out. You all can find us on Twitter at unofficially_OP. Is that correct? Am I getting that right? Yes. Right. And then also on YouTube,
Yes.
Tim. Yes. Unofficially opinionated
Yes.
YouTube,
Not,
right?
not much up there yet, but really, if you
Not
just
yet.
go to our Anchor site, anchor.fm / it's unofficially -opinionated, and all the links are on there as well. So you'll find everything there. You can subscribe. We'll be on Apple Podcasts this coming week once I get that set up. So I've been busy, but other than that, you can Google Podcasts. We're on, Spotify, all those good places. So check us out.
Yep. All right.
Cool.
Well, signing out.
We'll see y'all next time.
See y'all next time. Bye, Tim.